Good morning, everyone. Have you ever woken up on a Monday and thought, what's the point? You go through the motions, emails, meetings, deadlines, but deep inside there's a whisper asking, is this really it? Now imagine waking up to something more. Imagine knowing exactly why you do what you do and feeling that fire in your chest because you're chasing something bigger than just a paycheck. That's the power of vision, not a vague idea or some corporate mission statement, but a clear, compelling image of the future so vivid that you can almost taste it. Let's talk about why we follow vision and why we must. I want to share 7 truths that will reshape how you think, lead, and live. Imagine waking up every single day and knowing exactly why you're getting out of bed. Not because of your to-do list, not because someone's waiting for you to show up, not because the world expects you to be responsible or productive or reliable, but because deep inside you feel pulled by something greater, something more meaningful. That's what vision does. It doesn't push us, it pulls us. It gives weight to our steps and direction to our days. It turns the mundane into the meaningful and transforms obstacles into opportunity. We've all heard the phrase, keep your eyes on the prize. But what if it's not a prize? What if it's something far more valuable, your purpose? Vision isn't about achieving a goal. It's about chasing something worth enduring the chaos for. Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable horrors of a concentration camp, understood this truth on the deepest human level. He wrote, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." And he was, when you have a clear why, a vision, you can survive the darkest nights. You can carry weights no one else can see. And you can keep moving forward when every logical reason says you should give up. Because we're not designed to be driven by tasks. We're not built to thrive on checklists and status updates. We are hardwired to seek meaning. We crave significance. We want to know that what we're doing matters, that we matter. And when we have vision, it connects us to that sense of mattering. Take the nurse working the long 12-hour shift. She doesn't do it for the hourly wage. The paycheck is real, but it's not the point. She does it because she can see something that others might miss. She sees healing, not just in broken bones and treated wounds, but in people. She sees families reunite. She sees someone holding their newborn for the first time. She sees life continuing because of the work she does. That's not a job, that's a calling. Or look at the teacher who stays late, night after night, grading paper after paper. No spotlight, no applause, no headline. And yet, there she is, pouring herself into every mark and every comment. Why? Because in those messy essays and scribbled equations, she sees something greater than ink on paper. She sees future leaders, she sees hope, she sees the possibility of a world that's better than the one she grew up in. Because she played a part in shaping the hearts and minds of the next generation. Her vision gives meaning to her exhaustion. This is what separates the people who show up from the people who lead. Anyone can fulfill a duty. Anyone can go through the motions. But those who live with vision, they bring energy into the room. They elevate others. They refuse to accept the status quo. Not because they're rebellious, but because they've seen what could. And once you've seen that, once you've felt that, you can't unsee it. Vision is not a luxury for the privileged few. It's not some lofty concept reserved for entrepreneurs, activists, or spiritual leaders. It is a necessity. It is oxygen for the soul. When we don't have vision, we suffocate slowly. We become numb. We move through life like shadows of who we could be. But when vision takes root, when it burns inside you, it brings you back to life. You see color again. You hear music in places that used to be silent. You start asking better questions. You stop settling. You begin to walk differently. Not arrogantly, but with assurance. Because you know what you're building. You know why you're here. You might not know exactly how it'll all unfold. And that's okay. Vision doesn't need a GPS. It needs belief. It needs commitment. It needs fire. And let's be honest. There will be days when it's hard. Days when doubt whispers louder than hope. Days when the path feels lonely. But vision doesn't promise ease. It promises worth. It promises that when you look back, you'll know you didn't waste your time. You didn't trade your days for comfort or convenience. You spent them on something that matters. You see, struggle without vision feels like punishment. But struggle with vision, it becomes progress. It becomes transformation. It becomes legacy. And the beauty of vision is that it multiplies. When you carry it, you inspire others to find theirs. You don't even have to preach it, just live it. People are watching. They're looking for someone who still believes. Someone who still cares. Someone who's not afraid to say, this is what I see and this is what I'm working toward. That kind of clarity changes everything. It changes how you show up. It changes what you tolerate. It changes who you become. And when you're driven by vision, you stop measuring success by how fast you climb or how much you earn. You start measuring it by the impact you make, the lives you touch, and the courage you embody. And maybe the most powerful part of all is that vision doesn't require perfection. It's not about being flawless. It's about being faithful. Faithful to the dream. Faithful to the people who are counting on you. Faithful to the version of yourself that you know you were born to become. Because deep down, every human being wants the same thing. To live a life that matters. To look back and say, I didn't just exist. I contributed. I created. I gave. That's what vision empowers us to do. It invites us into a story bigger than ourselves. It turns ordinary days into sacred ground. It turns resistance into resilience. And it gives us the strength to endure what others would call impossible. So if you're tired, if you're lost, if you're wondering whether it's worth it, don't ask yourself what you're doing. Ask yourself why you're doing it. Reconnect with your vision. Reignite that fire. Because when you find your why, the how becomes not just bearable, but beautiful. Imagine a world where every action taken, every decision made, and every sacrifice endured serves a purpose greater than ourselves. That's the power of vision. Vision isn't about a product or a profit. It's about something far deeper. It's about meaning. It's about the reason we choose to show up day after day, often when no one is watching, when there's no applause, and when the path ahead is still foggy. And when that vision is clear, everything else falls into place. In any organization, whether it's a business trying to change the market, a family striving to raise compassionate children, or a grassroots movement trying to ignite change, vision is the invisible thread that weaves people together. Without it, you have chaos, misalignment, confusion. But with it, you have momentum. You have trust. You have a team that rows, not just harder but together. Picture a rowing team on a river. There are 8 individuals with oars, all powerful, all skilled. But if each one decides to paddle in their own rhythm, in their own direction, the boat spins, it struggles, it loses speed, and eventually it goes nowhere. But when every rower hears the same call, feels the same rhythm, and fixes their eyes on the same finish line, something beautiful happens. They glide, smoothly, powerfully, in sync. That's what vision does. It doesn't just motivate, it aligns. Apple didn't become Apple because they made great computers. That was never the vision. They became Apple because they dared to challenge the status quo. They asked, why does it have to be this way? And in asking that question, they created a beacon for people who believe the same. Designers didn't join Apple because they wanted a paycheck. They joined because they saw the chance to make something elegant. Engineers came not because the specs were better, but because they believed technology could be personal. Marketers joined because they believed in storytelling, not selling. These people didn't just clock in and out. They poured themselves into the mission. Because the vision wasn't about Apple, it was about them. And that's what true vision does. It gives people a reason to belong. When people align under a shared vision, something remarkable shifts. They stop working for you. They start working with you. It's no longer about authority or hierarchy or job title. It becomes about contribution. Everyone, regardless of their role, feels that what they do matters, that they are building something bigger than themselves. And when people believe in that, you unlock an entirely different kind of performance. One that's fueled by passion, not pressure. But here's the truth. Vision without alignment is just a dream. It's a poster on a wall, a paragraph in a company handbook no one reads. Alignment is what gives vision its wings. It's what transforms words into movement. And alignment doesn't happen by accident. It happens when leaders communicate that vision not just once but constantly. When they model it, when they hire for it, when they reward it. It happens when everyone from the CEO to the intern understands not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. People crave clarity. They want to know that their efforts have a direction, that their talents are being used towards something that matters. Without that clarity, even the most talented people lose steam. They drift, they disengage, but give them a clear vision, a North Star, and they'll surprise you. They'll take initiative, they'll innovate, they'll push through obstacles not because they have to, but because they want to. Look at any great movement in history. It didn't start with a plan. It started with a vision, a belief that the world could be different, that things could be better. And people aligned with that vision not because they were told to, but because they felt compelled to. Because something inside of them said this is worth fighting for. That emotional pull, that fire, that's the real force behind alignment. Vision doesn't need to be complicated. In fact, the most powerful visions are often the simplest. They don't list objectives or strategies. They speak to the heart. They capture a sense of possibility. They paint a picture of a future that's worth building. And when that picture is clear enough, people will rally to it. They'll bring their best. They'll align not out of obligation, but out of belief. That's the difference between compliance and commitment. You can force compliance, but commitment, that's earned, that's inspired, and it starts with vision. Imagine walking into a room where every person is aligned, not just in function, but in purpose. The energy changes. The conversations shift from how do I get ahead, to how do we move forward together. That kind of culture doesn't happen through perks or policies. It happens when people feel seen, when they know the vision, and they see their reflection. The greatest leaders understand this. They don't just cast a vision, they live it. They embody it in how they listen, in the choices they make, in how they treat people. Because they know that alignment isn't just about strategy, it's about trust. People will only align with a vision when they trust the person sharing it. When they believe that the leader isn't just saying the words, but believes them. And once that trust is there, the possibilities are endless. A small group aligned under a powerful vision can achieve more than a massive team that's divided. Because alignment doesn't add, it multiplies. It amplifies effort, it unlocks synergy. And in that space, innovation thrives. So whether you're leading a team, raising a family, or starting a movement, ask yourself, what's the vision? Not the goal, not the numbers, the vision. What's the cause that lights you up? What's the world you want to build? And then ask, are the people around me rowing in the same direction? Because when that alignment clicks into place, you'll feel it, you'll see it, you'll know it, and more importantly, they'll feel it too. That's when the magic happens. Vision isn't for everyone, and that's a good thing. Because vision, true vision, is a filter. It's a beacon. It separates the interested from the committed, the comfortable from the courageous. When you're clear, crystal clear about where you're going and why it matters, something extraordinary happens. You stop chasing. You stop convincing. You stop pleading for attention. And instead, people start coming to you. People who see what you see. People who feel what you feel. People who wake up every morning with the same fire burning in their hearts. You see, too many leaders think leadership is about convincing people to join them. But the most magnetic leaders, the ones who change industries, rewrite the rules, spark movements, they don't convince, they inspire. They make it so clear what they stand for that others can't help but say, yes, that's me. That's what I've been waiting for. That's what a real vision does. It creates belonging. And belonging is the most powerful human motivator on earth. We all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, something meaningful, something that makes the struggle worth it. The long nights, the setbacks, the uncertain. People don't want easy, they want purpose. And when your vision is clear enough, it acts like a magnet. It pulls in the kind of people who don't care about the odds, the kind of people who are willing to give their time, their energy, and even their comfort for something they believe in. Think about it. When Elon Musk set out to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, he didn't offer people comfort. He didn't offer them predictability. He offered them a mission, and the mission was bold. It was risky. It was in many ways unreasonable. It was clear, and it struck a chord, not with everyone, but with the right ones. Engineers, scientists, designers, marketers, some of the best minds in the world didn't join Tesla because it was safe. They joined because they wanted to be a part of something that mattered. And when people are part of something that matters, they don't just show up, they give everything they've got. That's the power of vision. When you articulate a vision that's authentic, when you dare to dream big and speak it out loud, you give people a chance to align, a chance to contribute, a chance to say, I want to be part of that. And when people opt in because they believe, not because they were pressured or incentivized, their commitment runs deep. That's when magic happens. Because now you're not building alone. Now you have people beside you who will fight for the dream like it's their own. But here's the key, you must be willing to turn some people away. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will understand your passion. And that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. A diluted vision in an attempt to please everyone is no vision at all. Clarity requires courage. The courage to say, this is where we're going. And to accept that some people will walk away. Let them. Because for every one that walks, another will step forward and say, this is what I've been waiting for. And that person, that's your person. That's someone who will push with you, build with you, and grow with you. You don't need a crowd, you need believers. People who will challenge you, support you, and hold the vision with you when times get tough, and they always get tough. When the obstacles feel insurmountable, when failure looms, when everyone else says it can't be done, it's the believers who keep going. Not because they're reckless, but because they can see what's possible. They have bought into the future you're building, and that future gives them strength. We talk a lot about finding the right talent, recruiting top performers, retaining high achievers. But what if the solution isn't in the tactics? What if the answer is in the vision? What if the most powerful recruitment strategy isn't a bonus or a benefits package, but a dream that matters, a dream that invites people to do the best work of their life, a dream that says, come build with us, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. This is not theory, this is human nature. We are drawn to purpose like moths to flame. We're not inspired by what is, We're inspired by what could, and when someone paints that future with clarity and conviction, we listen, we follow, we join, because we want to be part of a story that means something. And once we're in, we don't just do the job, we become part of the mission. That's what makes all the difference. That's what turns an employee into an advocate, a worker into a warrior. They don't just stay, they thrive, because now it's personal. Now they're not just building a product, they're building the future. They're not clocking hours, they're chasing a cause. And that shift from job to journey is the heartbeat of a visionary organization. So don't worry about appealing to everyone. Don't worry if some people don't get it. Your vision isn't for them. Your vision is for the ones who feel it in their bones, the ones who nod quietly when you speak, because your words echo the voice inside them, the ones who have been waiting, sometimes for years, for someone to say what they've always believed. Lead with that, speak that, stand for that, because when you do, you don't need to find the right people, they find you. Every vision worth following comes with resistance. It's not an optional side effect. It's part of the package. Resistance is the signal that you're on to something that matters. It's the universe testing how badly you want, because the truth is, anything that can make a meaningful difference will demand something meaningful from you in return. Setbacks, delays, doubts. These aren't just inconveniences, they're the toll you pay on the road to something great. And on that road there will be days when quitting feels like the most logical decision. It will be easier, it will feel justified. People around you might even suggest it's the smart move. But vision, true vision won't let you quit. Vision is what tugs at your soul when the world pulls at your shoulders. It's what whispers to you in the quiet moments, when everyone else has stopped believing, including yourself. It's not loud or flashy, it's often not even visible to others, but it's unshakable. It roots itself in the deepest part of your being, in the place where purpose lives, and it says, keep going, you weren't made to stop here. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in a prison cell, confined by walls, shackled by injustice, and cut off from the world, but he wasn't broken, because his body was imprisoned, not his mind. He carried with him a vision so vivid, so necessary, that not even decades behind bars could extinguish it. He saw a South Africa that was free, that was equal, that was unified, and that vision became his source of strength. Every day he chose to believe in that future, even when the present gave him no reason to. That kind of belief, that kind of clarity of vision, does something extraordinary. It rewires how we interpret suffering. Mandela didn't emerge bitter, he emerged ready. That's the power of vision. It transforms pain into preparation. When we carry vision, we begin to view failure differently. It stops being an ending, and becomes a message. Feedback, not a verdict, but a clue. We stop seeing setbacks as stop signs, and begin recognizing them as part of the terrain. Every great achievement has been built on a mountain of failures, but the people who made it didn't stand on the summit because they avoided those failures. They stood there because they kept climbing despite them. Vision tells you the mountain is worth the climb, no matter how many times you slip. And let's talk about critics. The ones who tell you it's impossible, impractical, idealistic. Sometimes they're strangers, but often they're people you know, people who love you, people who are scared for you, and sometimes you become your own worst critic. Your mind replays every doubt, every mistake, every what if. Vision won't silence those voices, but it gives you something louder to listen to. It reminds you why you started in the first place. It reminds you who you're doing this for. It reminds you that legacy is more important than comfort. Obstacles don't just test our commitment, they refine our character. Vision teaches us patience when progress is slow. It teaches us compassion when others fall behind. It teaches us courage when the cost of integrity rises. Vision is the lens that brings long-term purpose into focus, even when short-term results are blurry. And let's be honest, there are seasons when the world doesn't reward you for your vision. There are months, sometimes years, when nothing seems to move, the progress is invisible. But that's when vision is most important, because in those times you don't need proof, you need belief. We're living in a world that celebrates quick wins, instant gratification, and viral success. But real change doesn't happen at the speed of the internet. It happens at the speed of trust, of relationships, of resilience. Vision isn't about chasing applause, it's about building something that outlasts you. It's not about being seen, it's about seeing what others can't yet see, and being brave enough to pursue it anyway. Think of any movement, any innovation, any revolution that ever mattered. At the center of it was someone who had a vision, and around them were people who could feel that vision, even if they couldn't fully understand it yet. That's how movements begin. One person sees a better world, they speak it, live it, embody it, and slowly others start to believe too. Vision multiplies, it spreads, but only if it's strong enough to survive the struggle. So if you're in a season of resistance right now, take heart. You're not on the wrong path. You're on the right one. You're in the stretch between belief and breakthrough. And what you do here matters more than what anyone says about you. The work you're doing might not be recognized yet. The impact might not be visible yet. But vision doesn't wait for validation. It moves forward anyway. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to hold on to the picture of what could be. Protect it, nurture it, speak it even when your voice shakes. Because someone out there is waiting to be inspired by your belief. Someone is waiting to find hope in your persistence. Someone is watching you endure. And because of you, they won't quit either. This is how vision fuels resilience. Not by removing the struggle, but by giving it meaning. Not by making things easy, but by making them worthwhile. The vision you carry might feel heavy now, but one day, it will be the reason someone else decides to keep going. And when that day comes, every ounce of resistance you faced will be transformed into a story of redemption. You won't just have survived, you will have lit the way. Imagine a world where limitations no longer bind us. A world where we are not held hostage by the way things have always been done. Instead of asking what's possible, we begin to ask what's next. That subtle shift in thinking, that tiny pivot in mindset, is what separates those who follow the path from those who create it. Because when we follow a vision, truly, deeply, passionately follow a vision, we are no longer constrained by what exists. We become fueled by what could be. Vision is not just a dream or a goal written on a boardroom whiteboard. It's not a quarterly target or a flashy tagline. Vision is a fire that burns from the inside out. It's that feeling deep in your chest when you know you're onto something big, something that could change everything. It's the relentless pursuit of something better. Not because the current system is broken, but because it can be more better. Human. Visionaries walk among us every day, but we don't always notice them. They're not the loudest in the room. They're often the most curious. They're the ones who look at a crowded marketplace and don't see saturation. They see opportunity. They don't just accept the rules. They question them, not with defiance, but with wonder. Why does it have to be this way? What if it didn't? These questions aren't rebellion, they're acts of imagination. Think about the founders of Airbnb. On the surface, it started with something as simple and frankly as ordinary as renting out mattresses. But that wasn't the true vision. The true vision was a world where anyone could belong anywhere. That belief, that radical, almost naive belief, completely transformed the travel industry. It wasn't just about lodging. It became about connection, about experience, about trust. That's the power of vision. It doesn't just tweak what's already there. It builds something new. But here's the thing. Vision isn't safe. It doesn't come with guarantees. In fact, it demands risk. Because to follow a vision is to step into the unknown. It means walking through the fog with only conviction to guide you. Vision doesn't wait for the stars to align. It moves forward, even when the road ahead is unclear. That kind of courage, that's not born from data or certainty. It's born from belief. And belief is contagious. When someone moves with a powerful vision, others notice. They lean in. They start to imagine alongside them. That's how movements begin. Not with money, not with power, but with an idea and someone brave enough to protect it. Vision gives us the permission to dream again, to build without knowing the full blueprint, to act without having every answer. It awakens something inside us that we thought the world had dulled down. In every great story of innovation, you'll find a vision at its core, not a desire for profit, not a quest for fame, a vision, a belief that the world could be just a little more human, more connected, more alive. The people behind those ideas weren't reckless. They were relentless. They saw something others didn't. And instead of backing down, they leaned in. Following a vision means learning to live with tension. The tension between the way things are and the way they could be. That tension, that's where innovation lives. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also where the magic happens. When we stop obsessing over what's been proven and start exploring what's possible, we find new paths. We discover truths we didn't know we were looking for. We build bridges to places we've never been. But perhaps the most powerful part of vision is what it does to us internally. It wakes us up. It calls us out of comfort. It reminds us that our lives are not just meant to be efficient. They're meant to be meaningful. When we follow a vision, we stop living on autopilot. we start moving with intention. Every decision, every risk, every sacrifice, it all starts to matter. Not just because of the outcome, but because of the journey. And yes, vision demands sacrifice. It asks for late nights, uncertain steps, moments of doubt, but what it gives in return is far greater. It gives purpose. It gives direction. It gives the deep, soul-shaking joy of knowing that your work is building something that matters. That you are not just passing time. You are changing time, shaping it, defining it. We live in a world that moves fast. Trends shift, markets evolve, technology accelerates. But vision grounds us. It gives us a North Star. It keeps us from chasing what's shiny and helps us chase what's true. When the noise gets loud, vision helps us listen inward. It asks us not to follow the crowd, but to follow conviction. And when you lead with vision, people don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They join you not because they have to, but because they want to. They become part of something bigger than themselves. That's when culture is born. That's when loyalty is built. That's when real impact begins. So if you're holding on to a vision, no matter how big, no matter how small, protect it, nurture it, trust it, let it lead you. And when the doubts come, and they will, remind yourself that every world-changing idea once lived in the mind of someone who simply refused to let go. Because the future doesn't belong to the ones who ask, what's possible? It belongs to those who dare to ask, what's next? Here's the truth. Money fades, trends change, and fame dies. But a real vision outlives you. That's not just poetic, it's reality. We all live in the wake of someone else's vision. Every freedom we enjoy, every innovation we benefit from, every system we rely on, it all started with someone daring to imagine a future that didn't exist yet. A future they may never live to see, but one they believed in enough to start building anyway. Think about it. The people who shape the world aren't the ones chasing headlines. They're the ones chasing meaning. They're not driven by applause. They're driven by purpose. And purpose is birthed from vision. Vision gives you a direction. Vision gives you clarity when the path ahead is foggy. Vision gives you strength when your legs are weak. And courage when fear wraps its hands around your neck. When everything else fades, vision remains. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and deliver a speech about economics or laws or legislation. He didn't talk about temporary fixes. He painted a picture. He invited the world into a dream where children of all colors could play together, where dignity wasn't defined by skin tone, and where justice rolled down like waters. He wasn't just speaking to the people of his time, he was speaking to the soul of a nation. That's what vision does. It transcends time, it echoes forward into the hearts of those who never even met you. It creates momentum that rolls through decades. We remember King not because he held office, but because he held on to hope. His vision was so powerful, it still moves us. And maybe you're not standing on national stages. Maybe you're not leading a movement or starting a revolution, but don't underestimate the power of your vision. You don't need 1 million followers to change the world. You need a clear why, a vision strong enough to burn through obstacles, loud enough to drown out doubt, and deep enough to endure the silence when no one is clapping. Too many of us are building castles in sand, chasing things that will disappear. A raise, a car, a bigger house. And while there's nothing wrong with having those things, they can't hold up the weight of your soul. They're not legacy. They're temporary highs in a life that demands depth. What lives on after you're gone is not your title, not your possessions, but the vision you put into motion. Legacy is not something you leave for people, it's something you leave in them. It's the beliefs you plant, the values you stand for, the courage you model, the path you carve that others can walk long after your footprints fade. Vision doesn't just light your way, it lights the way for others. That's why it matters so much. That's why we can't afford to live without it. And here's the beautiful thing. Vision isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's not locked behind status or privilege. Every one of us has access to it. It starts by asking yourself one simple question. What future do I want to help build? Not what do I want to achieve, not what will make me look successful, but what future, what better world do I want to leave behind? Because when you start living from vision, your decisions change. You no longer chase approval. You chase alignment. You stop competing and start creating. You stop proving and start contributing. Vision turns survival into significance. It turns work into a mission. It transforms you from a person who does things into a person who builds things. Things that last. The most powerful people in history were never the richest or the most popular. They were the ones who chose to see what others could not, and then had the courage to live it. Even when it was inconvenient, even when it was costly, even when they were alone, they were willing to become misunderstood in their time to be understood by future generations. And that's the test of vision. Can you stay faithful to it, even when no one else gets it yet? We all have a choice. We can live for comfort, or we can live for cause. One of them dies with you. The other one outlives you. Choose wisely, because when your time here is done, and it won't be your resume they talk about. It'll be your ripple. It'll be the lives you touched, the culture you shaped, the values you embodied. That's the kind of legacy vision builds. And maybe you're thinking, but I'm just one person. I'm not a world leader, or a history maker. Neither was King at first. Neither was anyone, until they chose to live bigger than themselves. Vision doesn't require fame, it requires faith. Faith in something better. Faith that your life can matter. Not because of how loud you are, but because of how deeply you care. Faith that if you stay committed, your dream might just outgrow you. And that's the point. Vision is the only thing powerful enough to outlive a heartbeat. Because while names fade from memory, impact lives in motion. You don't have to be remembered to make a difference. You just have to show up every day and build what you believe in, quietly, boldly, relentlessly. So let the world chase trends. Let others measure success in numbers. You build a vision, and build it so clearly, so unapologetically, that it lights fires in people you'll never meet, in places you'll never go, in times you'll never see. That is how legacies are born. Vision is not just an idea or a distant dream. It is the most powerful force that can move a person beyond their present, beyond their limits, and even beyond their fears. It doesn't simply give direction. It gives meaning. It doesn't just point to the future, it reshapes the present. And when you choose to follow a vision with your whole heart, it doesn't just change the outcome of your life. It changes you. When you truly embrace a vision, you step into a process of transformation. It is not immediate. It is not always visible, but slowly, steadily, it stretches you. It stretches your character in ways you could never have anticipated. You begin to confront parts of yourself that were once comfortably hidden behind routine and distraction. Vision exposes the gap between who you are and who you could be. It asks you to grow, to evolve, to rise. And in that stretching, something extraordinary begins to happen. You become more than you were yesterday, not just in achievements but in depth, in courage, in conviction. You stop waiting for the perfect opportunity because vision teaches you there's no such thing. You stop hoping someone will come and hand you your dream, because vision whispers that you were meant to build it. You stop asking if you're ready, and instead ask yourself, what am I willing to become to make this real? Vision pushes you out of the passenger seat of your life, and into the driver's seat. It gives you the audacity to act, to risk, to create. Along the way you will meet resistance. Sometimes it'll be external, people who don't see what you see, who doubt your direction, who question your motive. But more often it's internal. Doubts will whisper louder than dreams. The voice inside will say you're not enough, or who do you think you are? And in those moments, vision becomes the anchor. It becomes the reason you keep going when logic says to stop. Because when the why is clear, the how becomes bearable. When the destination is worth it, the detours don't break you, they build you. You'll learn patience because vision rarely moves on your timeline. It doesn't cater to convenience. It teaches you to work in silence, to build when no one is watching, to trust that effort sown in private will one day grow into something powerful in public. And then when praise finally arrives, vision gives you humility, because you remember the days no one clapped, the nights no one saw, the failures, the tears, the quiet victories that only you knew existed. And you understand that success didn't come overnight. It came from showing up when you didn't feel like it, from doing the hard thing when the easy road begged you to quit. Vision also demands strength, not just physical or intellectual, but emotional. It will take you through seasons where you feel entirely alone, where your belief in the dream is the only thing carrying you forward. There will be moments when no one understands, when even those closest to you question your sanity. In those valleys, it's easy to compromise, to shrink, to settle, but vision doesn't let you, because once you've seen what could be, it's impossible to unsee it. That fire doesn't fade. It fuels you when nothing else can. You will lose comfort. That's the price. Vision isn't comfortable. It asks for more than what's easy. It asks you to give up the familiar and step into the unknown. It takes away the illusion of control and gives you something far more valuable: conviction. And conviction will carry you through the storm. It will remind you that safety was never the goal. Impact was, purpose was, meaning was. You'll also have to let go of certainty, the predictable path, the guaranteed outcome, These things won't walk with you when you choose vision. But in their place, you'll gain clarity. A kind of clarity that isn't about knowing exactly what comes next, but knowing exactly why you're on the journey. That clarity brings focus, it brings energy, it sharpens your decisions and grounds your action. You no longer chase everything. You pursue only what matters, and then without even realizing it, you start becoming someone you never thought you could be. Not someone perfect, not someone who always gets it right, but someone bold, someone brave, someone who lives not from fear but from purpose, someone who can look in the mirror not because the world finally noticed, but because you notice, and say, I admire who I've become. That's the hidden gift of vision. It's not just about the dream at the end, it's about who you become on the way there. It's about the person you were always meant to be, uncovered through the fire of persistence and the weight of responsibility. It's about trading smallness for significance. It's about walking away from who you were to make room for who you could be. So when vision calls, don't hesitate. Don't ask if you're ready. Say yes. Say yes even if your voice shakes. Say yes even if the road ahead looks foggy. Say yes because deep down you know this isn't just about a dream. It's about transformation, about becoming. And when you get there, wherever there is, you'll understand, you'll see that the goal was never just about reaching a destination. The goal was always to rise, to grow, to become. So I ask you today, what's your vision? Not your goals, not your 5-year plan, your vision. What future do you believe in so deeply that you're willing to be misunderstood for it? Because the moment you start following it, everything changes. Your energy, your people, your path, your purpose. Follow vision not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. And when the world asks why you kept going, even when others quit, you'll answer, because I saw something they didn't yet.